Would DogDay get his legs back? Every theory explained. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving deep into one of the most heartbreaking and most debated mysteries in the entire Poppy Playtime universe, the theories about DogDay getting his legs back. If you have played Chapter 3 Deep Sleep, you already know the scene that broke 1,000 hearts the moment we find DogDay chained up in that hidden cell inside the playhouse, missing his entire lower body and screaming in pain. Ever since that scene dropped, the fandom has exploded with theories, animations and fan-made good endings trying to answer one simple question: can DogDay actually get his legs back, and if so, how would that even happen? Let's break down every major theory floating around right now, starting with the most popular one, the mechanical prosthetic theory. A lot of fans point out that Playtime co-built almost everything in this universe using leftover experimental tech from Bigger Bodies projects. Mommy Long Legs had stretchy limbs, Huggy Wuggy had unnatural strength, and Catnap had that black tar-like body horror ability. So the theory goes that somewhere inside the abandoned factory or the playhouse itself there could be spare mechanical or synthetic limb parts built for these bigger body experiments, and if the player or Poppy managed to find that tech in a future chapter, they could rebuild DogDay a new set of legs, giving him a chance to walk again and finally be free from that cell. Fans who support this theory often bring up the fan animation called DogDay Gets His Legs Back, which shows an emotional reunion where the player helps free him and rebuilds his lower half using scrap parts found around the factory. Even though this is not canon, it captures exactly what so many fans are hoping happens in the real story. Next we have the healing factor theory. This one leans into the idea that bigger body experiments are not like normal biological creatures. They are grown using a mix of organic material and experimental VHS tape-based technology, and because of that some fans believe these toys might have a built-in regeneration ability similar to what we saw hinted at with other smiling critters, and even with how Catnap's body reacts to damage throughout the game. Under this theory, DogDay's missing legs are not gone forever, they are simply dormant, and with enough time or the right trigger his body could begin regrowing them naturally. This theory gained traction after players noticed how resilient these creatures are, shown to be able to survive extreme trauma that would kill a normal animal instantly, which makes the idea of slow regeneration feel less like a stretch and more like a real possibility hidden somewhere in the lore. Then there is the smiling critters resurrection theory, which connects DogDay's healing directly to the fate of the rest of his team. During the hour of joy, the other critters were consumed and turned into the ruined tiny versions that swarm the player. Throughout Chapter 3, some fans believe that if those ruined critters were ever reversed or cured, it could unlock some kind of shared biological network between them all, since DogDay was their leader and the last one standing. Bringing the others back could theoretically restore something inside DogDay too, including his missing limbs. This theory is a bit more speculative, but it ties directly into the overall themes of found family and redemption that run through the entire game, which a lot of story analysts believe will play a huge role in future chapters. Another big theory revolves around Chapter 4 and what the developers have teased so far. Mob Entertainment has confirmed that Chapter 4 will introduce new areas of the factory that have not been explored yet, along with deeper looks into the science and experimentation side of Playtime Co. Some fans believe this means we could finally see the lab or workshop where bigger body prosthetics were originally built, meaning DogDay's healing or leg replacement could become an actual questline players complete rather than just a background detail. This would give real narrative weight to his character instead of leaving him as a tragic side character stuck in that one prison cell forever. There is also a symbolic theory that a lot of story-focused fans bring up, which is less about literal legs and more about emotional healing. Under this reading, DogDay getting his legs back represents him breaking free from Catnap's control and the prototype's influence entirely. So instead of a physical fix, the theory suggests his healing moment could come in the form of him choosing to fight back and finally escape the cycle of suffering that trapped every other smiling critter. This interpretation is popular among fans who enjoy analyzing Poppy Playtime as more than just a horror game, and instead as a story about trauma, control and the fight to reclaim your own identity even inside a nightmare factory. Of course, we cannot talk about this topic without mentioning the wave of fan animations and reaction videos built entirely around this idea. Videos with titles like "What If DogDay Got His Legs Back" have racked up huge view counts, showing just how much the community wants a happy outcome for this character. These fan-made versions usually show emotional reunions, dramatic rescue sequences and DogDay walking again for the first time since the hour of joy. While none of this is officially confirmed by Mob Entertainment, it shows just how emotionally invested players have become in a character who originally seemed like nothing more than a horror obstacle. So will we actually see DogDay get his legs back in an upcoming chapter? Nobody outside the development team knows for sure, but between the mechanical prosthetic theory, the natural healing theory, the smiling critters connection and the symbolic freedom interpretation, there are more than enough threads for Mob Entertainment to pull pull from if they want to give this fan favorite character the ending so many people are hoping for. Until then, the fan animations and theory videos will keep filling in that emotional gap, giving DogDay the happy moment the main story has not delivered yet. Let me know down in the week. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Before we go further, let's talk about how the community first reacted the moment Chapter 3 released, because the internet basically broke overnight. Clips of the cell scene were everywhere on social media, and within hours people were already editing together sad music over the footage, turning it into one of the most shared moments in the entire franchise so far. The sheer emotional weight of seeing a once cheerful mascot reduced to a broken pleading figure hit way harder than most people expected from a Toy Factory horror game, and that reaction is honestly the reason this legs back theory blew up as fast as it did, because so many players walked away wanting some kind of closure for him instead of just leaving him behind in that cell forever. Now let's dig into a theory that does not get talked about enough, which is the timeline gap theory. Basically, some fans point out that we do not actually know how much time passes between the hour of joy and when the player finds DogDay locked away, which could be anywhere from months to potentially years. Given how long the factory has clearly been abandoned and decaying under this idea, there is a chance that off-screen events already started, some kind of repair process orchestrated by Catnap himself, since he seems to want DogDay alive rather than dead for reasons still unexplained. Maybe Catnap needed him functional for some future plan tied to the prototype, which means any legs he eventually gets could actually be something forced onto him rather than a gift, turning the whole legs back moment from a happy reunion into something far more sinister and unsettling. This darker version of the theory has become surprisingly popular among horror-focused analysts who think Mob Entertainment is unlikely to give this story a purely happy resolution, given how bleak everything else in the lore tends to be. Another angle worth mentioning is the Toy Factory blueprint theory. Some dedicated lore diggers have gone through official artwork and background details from the game's files and found sketches that appear to show experimental limb attachments never fully explained in the main story. These blueprints seem to hint that Playtime Co. was already working on detachable and replaceable limb systems for their bigger body line long before the Hour of Joy ever happened, which would mean the technology needed to give DogDay new legs may have existed the entire time, just sitting and used somewhere in a forgotten lab waiting to be discovered by whoever explores deep enough into the facility in a later chapter. If true, this would turn the legs back theory from wishful fan thinking into something that was actually planted in the game's world from the very beginning. We also cannot ignore the sheer number of animators and storytellers in the fandom who have basically turned this into its own mini-genre within Poppy Playtime content creation, with dozens of different versions, each one adding their own twist. Some show DogDay getting robotic legs built from spare huggy-wuggy parts, others show a more magical or supernatural healing tied to the red smoke that seems connected to the prototype, and there are even versions where Poppy herself uses some kind of hidden ability to restore him completely. The fact that so many different creative directions keep popping up shows just how open-ended and emotionally charged this particular plot thread really is for the community. Wrapping all of this together, it becomes pretty clear that DogDay has become one of the most beloved characters in the entire series, specifically because of this unresolved suffering. He represents hope trapped inside tragedy, and that combination is exactly why fans keep pouring so much energy into imagining a better outcome for him. Whether Mob Entertainment ever officially gives him his legs back in canon or not, the fandom has already proven they are more than willing to build that ending themselves, one animation, one theory video, and one heartfelt fan story at a time. And honestly, that might be the biggest reason this theory continues to survive even years after Chapter 3, because DogDay was not just another character who appeared and disappeared. He became a symbol of everything that went wrong inside Playtime Co., and every possibility of him returning gives fans a reason to believe his story is not over yet. So while we cannot say for certain that DogDay will get his legs back, the mechanical prosthetic theory currently feels like one of the most realistic possibilities, because it would allow the developers to restore his mobility without completely ignoring the damage he suffered. The healing theory is much more mysterious, while the smiling critters theory could connect his future directly to the fate of his friends, and the symbolic theory could give his character a powerful emotional conclusion. But there is also one possibility we should never ignore: DogDay could return without getting his original legs back at all. He could use prosthetics, survive with a different body structure, or even find another way to move around the factory that would allow Mob Entertainment to keep the consequences of Chapter 3 while still giving him a bigger role in the future. And if DogDay really does return in a future chapter, his story could become much bigger than simply getting his legs back. He could finally confront the forces that destroyed his team, discover what happened to the other smiling critters, and possibly help the player and Poppy uncover More information about the prototype that could change everything. So for now the question is not only will DogDay get his legs back, but what will his return actually mean for the story, and until Mob Entertainment gives us a definite answer, every theory remains possible, and that is exactly what makes this mystery so interesting. If you believe DogDay deserves a second chance and think he could return with a major role in the future, let me know your theory in the comments, and if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more DogDay theories, Poppy Playtime mysteries and lore breakdowns. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.